Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you are enjoying your quarantine, you're staying safe, and that these assignments are all going well for you. Anyway, as you probably know, we are going to write a 2-page paper that's a letter to a loved one as if you were in the trenches during World War I. So to do that, we kind of have to talk a little bit more about the details of World War I, and especially some of that vocab that has to be used in this paper. So, to get us started with that, what we have here. World War I is primarily fought in trenches. These trenches are on average 9 to 10 feet deep, minimum. So think about the size of a basketball hoop. That's the absolute minimum in depth that these trenches are. As you can see, you live here day and night. So while this guy is on watch, you have other people who are dead and other people who are sleeping, all in this trench with you. You're living there again day and night. This is a trench system. It's several tunnels and several trenches connected. So you have different dugouts where people are going to try to be kept safe. You have areas that they're going to be shooting from and artillery behind as well. But they're going to zigzag all across Europe, especially on the Western Front, where they're then going to be able to see these different things coming. Another important aspect about the trenches, and another important vocab word that needs to be in your paper, is this idea of barbed wire. This barbed wire was not put up at all neatly. It's put up to keep the other side out of your trench. So you'd put up masses of barbed wire right at the front of your trench so that the other side would have to get through the barbed wire to try to take over your trench. To rewind a little bit, this war starts, World War I starts summer of 1914. When it starts, everyone's very, very excited to be going to war. That ends quickly once they start to see this barbed wire and once they're being shot at day and night, constantly. There will be an artillery bombardment throughout. So here's another picture of what that barbed wire would look like, and as you can see, then he's going to be shooting from there. So here's the other important thing. These are actually two different trenches. So right in here would be the front of one country's trench, let's say Germany, and then right here's going to be, let's say, Great Britain's trench network. They both have their own trench networks. Now, this space in between has a very, very specific title. We call it no man's land. Don't just call it, oh, that land in between. It's no man's land. Call it no man's land. This is another picture from it. This is what that land would look like. So this land in here looks like that. You can see the giant craters made from the artillery shells. So what happens is every so often, whoever's in charge of your unit is going to say, all right, it's time to go over the top. And that means you're going to get out of your trench and you're going to run or walk across no man's land and try to get into the other side's trench. This is very, very dangerous to do. This is not going to be very simple, and lots of people are going to die this way because they're firing at each other, Finally, we got to go over the top. You got to get out of the trench, and you have to go across no man's land. Again, this vocab is going to be kind of important in your paper. You can't just say they got out of their trench. No, say they got out of the trench to go over the top through no man's land. Couple other things about the trenches. They're disgusting. Again, about 10 feet deep. And in this time, it's going to rain a lot. It's Europe, so it's going to rain. It's going to get really muddy. You're then going to have, at the very least, ankle-deep mud. Most of the time, it's going to be knee-deep mud that you're standing in 24/7. There is no bathroom. The bathroom is just the trench. There's going to be decomposing bodies. Basically, it's a giant rat's, party. So the rats are going to be eating on these dead bodies. They're going to be living in the mud and the filth. And they're just going to be these ginormous rats running around. While you're trying to sleep at night during artillery bombardments, you're going to be having rats, jump all over you and stuff. Very icky. This just shows, too, how deep some of this mud is. Day and night, your feet are soaked in disgusting mud. That is how you get this. This is known as trench foot, and it's gross, so I can go to the next slide. And that trench foot is what the infection would look like when you're in the trench too long. Now this picture, very fun looking. The other thing that you got to mention in your paper is the idea of mustard gas. Mustard gas is a pretty terrible way to die. It's invisible. You don't really see it coming a whole lot. And it's coming out of nowhere, and it's going to blister everything. So you'll feel a burning sensation immediately on your skin, in your eyes, and then on the inside of your mouth, down your throat, and in your lungs. It's going to make giant, yellow, disgusting blisters. So, Garrett Morgan, an American, he's going to invent the gas mask. These are what they looked like. Kind of scary looking. And then they would even have them for horses. Horses would need them as well to keep them safe and keep them horses and donkeys and stuff going throughout the war as well. Couple other things that make their debut in this war. Airplanes. Airplanes aren't going to be heavy bombers yet. That doesn't really happen till World War II. However, they will be very helpful for things like surveillance, things like gunners on them, and then even distributing some of this gas. Using gas now is considered a war crime, right? We don't use it anymore. However, there's nothing against it at this time. This is the first time it's going to be used. And then airplanes are just getting started and will eventually, in wars to come, be pretty major. Here's what the artillery would look like. Again, these would fire constantly. These are the artillery shells. So the word shelling is this idea that these shells are getting fired off of this constantly, day and night. Bam, bam, bam. Throughout the entire thing, and throughout the entire war, that's going to be firing. Alrighty, the last slide here to talk about. This is the tank. Tank will also make its debut in World War I, and it's a game changer. You can now move supplies and troops even quicker, and you don't have to necessarily lay train tracks to do it. This is able to go through mud. It does have different places to fire on it. However, it's in its infancy. They're starting to make more, but they're not as solid as they will be in World War II. However, they are there. They're very exciting, and they will help Great Britain to win the war, the Allies to win the war. So as far as this paper is concerned, here are your details. Here you must use all these words. Please underline them the first time you use them. Write this as if you were a soldier in World War II. So act like you're there. Put dear so-and-so. It's 60 points. It must be 2 pages with size 12 font. Alrighty, so if you have any questions on that, please let me know, and hopefully this video helped you.